Hello everyone, welcome back to another In the Studio with me, Donny Carr. In this video, we're going to make a sexy, atmospheric vocal stab. So I think you'll like this one. Let's get into it. To start things off, let's have a little preview of this demo that we're going to be working with today. Here's what it sounds like. There you go, simple little groove there. I think it will work nicely for this example. I've used it in a previous video or two. So let's get started. I have this vocal sample here. Very simple. And the first thing I want to do is just put down a simple MIDI pattern. So I'm just going to do a note on the offbeat at the end of the bar, like so. And then this needs to be much shorter. So let's grab our envelope here. I only want this to be a really short little hit. So we'll engage the envelope, pull the attack in, the hold in, the sustain. All I really want to adjust is this decay. So let's have a play with this until it sounds about right. I think that will work. And then before I reach for any plugins, I want to do a few things to thicken it up, make it more interesting before I even think about processing it. So let's make a couple copies of this. And let's just make this a little bit more interesting. So the first thing I'm going to do, we'll just grab our second copy there. And I'm going to place the MIDI note in the same spot, but let's make some changes to it. So we'll grab the fine pitch. Let's pitch this one up 20 cents. And then let's offset the timing as well. So I'm going to nudge this back in time a little bit. I'm not really too concerned about placing it in the perfect spot. I think that will be fine. And then on our last copy, let's send this one to the piano roll. We'll place it in the same spot again, but we'll make some different changes to this one. This one I want, let's pitch it down. Let's try 30 cents. Yeah, about 30 cents will work. And then let's nudge this one forward just a little bit. There we go. And then if we look at the sample, we could see it's kind of leaning to the right. So let's take this third copy and we'll pan it to the left a little bit just to add a little bit more separation between these three layers. Let's go for that. I think that will work. So let's just do a quick little comparison here. I'm just going to solo our vocal, and we can hear just our original layer, and then with the two copies. Yeah. With the two copies there, and then one more time with the original. Yeah. You can already hear that it's a little bit more full and interesting, and we haven't even done any processing at all to it. So I'm liking that. The next thing I want to do is add some reverb. This is very important for this type of stab effect. So I'm just going to grab the stock reverb. I don't need anything fancy for this. It's not necessary. I'm going to push up the wet all the way to 100%. I might even just decrease the dry signal a little bit. And then For this, what's really important is the pre-delay. So I'm going to go for a time-based pre-delay, and let's try a 16th note. I want a gap between when the vocal sounds and when the reverb comes in. So the reverb's almost answering the actual vocal stab. So let's try 16th pre-delay. Yeah, an 8th note works much better. If your reverb doesn't have a like time sync pre-delay option like this, then you could always just use a delay time calculator and just, you know, calculate it in milliseconds. There's plenty of free delay time calculators out there, and I've done videos on that in the past as well. So I also want to, I want the high end in this reverb. I want it to be kind of airy and atmospheric, so I don't want to cut too much of the high end, so I'm going to leave most of that in. And I just want to cut a little bit of the low end so we're not getting any, you know, rumble down low that we just don't need. Maybe increase the size slightly. This is all just kind of a taste thing. And then let's set the decay to taste as well. I think that will work. Around 4 seconds seems to sit nicely in this particular little project here. So the next thing I want to do is add some distortion or saturation, maybe some overdrive. Let's go with the blood overdrive to the kind of upper mid-range to kind of really bring out that reverb. So I'm just going to leave it on its stock setting, but I might just adjust the color and maybe try focusing in on the upper mids. The color just really kind of adjust where the drive is focusing in on a specific frequency range. So I'm just going to play around with this. Yeah, that's really bringing out that reverb in a nice way, and just, you know, adding more overall presence to the stab. So I like that. And then let's add a little compress here, little compression. I'm just going to use the 1176. I again want to kind of bring out that reverb a little bit more. So I'm not going to go crazy here, but I might just increase the attack or go for a faster attack rather, and just play with the input and output to get the desired gain reduction. I'm looking for maybe a couple dB of gain reduction here. Nothing's intense. I think that will do. And then let's add maybe something. You could add maybe some like phaser or flanger here, maybe some subtle modulation, maybe add a little width. So I'm just going to try the dimension expander. This is just kind of, you know, you can experiment with something like this. It's not really necessary, but I think maybe this might sound nice. This is just a little freebie from X4 Records. I'm sure you're all aware of it. I'm just going to dial back the dry wet here. Go for maybe about 35% or so. So let's try that without it. And with. Yeah. Cool. Let's add a little low cut here just to keep it tidy, just a simple low cut with the Harrison EQ. And let's add some side chain to this as well against the kick. Nothing new here. I'm going to start extreme and then dial it back to where it sounds right. Yeah, it's way too much for me. Yeah, that sounds good to me there. And then you could also run this through a delay to maybe give it a little bit more space and movement. So I have this simple little delay send set up, which I think will work nice. Let's talk you through this briefly. Nothing special here, just the Fruity Delay 3. It's a quarter note ping pong setting, and I've just reduced the bit depth slightly to add a little crunch to the delay, but it's not, you know, crazy over the top. It's quite subtle. And then just a simple low and high cut to keep things tidy, and a little side chain to the delay as well. And let's just send the vocal through that delay. I'll start extreme so you can hear what the delay is actually doing. You hear that delay. Just going to dial that back. Yeah, that will work. You can adjust that to taste. Now, the next thing that I want to do, actually the last thing I want to do to this to give it a little bit more movement and variation over time, is to use an LFO here. So I'm just going to grab the peak controller and I'm just going to rename this Attack LFO. And you guessed it, what we're going to do is link the attack of all 3 layers to that LFO. So right click, link to controller, select our LFO, we just put on our vocal stab, boom, and repeat for all 3 layers. Okay, and last one. Cool. So we have a LFO that will be controlling the attack of all 3 of those vocal layers, and you can set this up however you want. I'm going to do kind of like an alternating back and forth thing here. So I'm going to use a random shape, and you could play around with the speed. I'm just going to go for just maybe a half note, which is 8 steps. And then what I'll do, because I only want the LFO engaged every other time the vocal plays, so what I'll do is just create a automation clip for the volume, which is the amount of the LFO. And let's copy that and paste that there, so it'll be a 2-bar clip. So at 50%, the amount's at 0, so the LFO will not be engaged. So to turn it on, I'll just like increase the range to the desired amount for the second one, and it will be, and it will then be affected by the LFO. So let's just try something maybe a little bit more extreme so you could see it in action. So I'm going to turn this up to 80%, which would be a 30% range here. So you can see it. Nothing's happening there, and then this one, it's going to be moving around. And so that range is a little bit too much for me. I would definitely want to dial that back. I just wanted to show you in, you know, the LFO in action. So I'm just going to turn this down to maybe, we'll just go for 10%, I think will work. And what's... Yeah, I think that will work nicely. And you could always adjust the amount here, play around with different automation clips, maybe make a few of them unique. But that's just a nice way to create a little bit of a call and a response between, you know, the vocals here within this pattern. And it just keeps things a little bit more interesting and just adds a little bit more variation, especially if this sound is going to play over a long period in your track. Little things like this really do go a long way. So once I had something like this and I was happy with it, I would maybe record it to audio and then, you know, cut out an 8 or 16 bar section that I liked and use that in my track. So there you go. Let's just have a listen to this with a few of the other melodic elements playing. So I'm just going to turn this down a little bit, and we'll turn on the ARP and this guy here. So there you have it, a sexy, atmospheric vocal stab. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, we'll catch you later.